I think maybe in the coming year, we ought to institute some sort of rule that if you don't come to 3 straight meetings, then we'll ask whatever entity you represent, unless you're elected. I don't know what we'll do if you're elected.
So
But if
noted.
that we'll
Yeah,
ask you.
noted.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
So first and foremost, I want to, pardon? Yeah, I was going to say, first and foremost, we have the Pledge of Allegiance and the Pledge to the Flag, and you have it in front of you, so if you don't mind. Yeah, that's solid. All right, let's start to Pledge of Allegiance to the United States. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, one, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And to the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Sometimes I think they need to reread that.
Right?
It is indivisible.
I have to read it out now.
Sometimes they think about secession, but I think it's indivisible here. We have a couple of awards we want to give, and I think we need to do that. I ought to look at the agenda, but I'm pretty sure that's what it's going to tell me to do. So if the board members don't mind meeting me up there by the flag, first would be Gonzalo Gomez. So Gonzalo, if you don't mind joining us.
Hey, Gonzalo has been here for 25 years. We're very lucky. Gonzalo works with our IT department, and any wiring, any issues, any computer problems, printers, Gonzalo's the name that we yell, and he's right there. We're very lucky to have him and have had him for so long. Gonzalo, from the staff, thank you so much.
Let me read this letter of certificate of appreciation. This is a certificate of appreciation by the EPCAD in recognition of 25 years of dedicated, really dedicated service. This certificate is awarded to Gonzalo Gomez, 25 years. We can take a picture. Somebody will take a picture. We have a picture taker. He's
Yes.
the IT guy of the world. They have to smile, Gonzalo, after 25 years.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
And Diana, I think you need to take a picture.
Oh, no, this is their time.
All right, thank you. One more time for Gonzalo. This certificate of appreciation is for LaFonda Hamilton.
Miss Hamilton, yes. She has been here for 20 years. Most recently, she has worked with our guys from litigation, and she works with the folks that file for arbitration, that have any questions about suits. I mean, if we didn't have her down there, things would go haywire. One thing I like about LaFonda is every morning she comes up to get coffee, and we get to visit a little bit. And so I always get to hear about her family. But LaFonda, thank you so much
20
for all
years.
you do for us.
Let me tell you, this certificate of appreciation is in recognition of 20 years of dedicated service. This certificate is awarded to LaFonda Hamilton by the Central Appraisal District. Let's get a picture.
Okay.
That we want to put in front of the El Paso sign.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. 1, 2, 3.
All right, thank you, board members.
And again, I know I've said this before, board members, thank you so much for allowing us to recognize these employees that have been here for this length of time. We recognize them, but I think it's very important that the board gets to know some of these folks that have stuck it out. So thank you again.
And I'm telling you, 20 years and 25 years of dedication, that tells something about the leadership, too. The fact that people have been willing to put in 25 and 30 years, and we have some that are even 40. It's amazing. This organization obviously is attentive to the needs of our staff, and we appreciate you, Dinah, and we appreciate them.
Thank you.
Public comment.
No, sir, we have no one signed up for public comment.
All right, let's approve and sign the minutes of February 15th and March 26th. They're in front of you. We didn't have a quorum, so we couldn't do this last time. Need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve minutes for February 15th through March 26th.
Second. Any corrections or additions to the minutes? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Financial reports. My favorite person.
Good evening, Rosa Goldman, Chief Financial Officer. We are presenting the financial report for December 23 and January and February 2024. As you can see, we don't have any negative variances for any of those 3 months. And the financial report contains the balance sheet, the report of revenues, expenditures, and changes in cash balance, the investment report, and the note to the financial report. We will put any of the negative variances under the notes, but we don't have any. Everything is positive. And under the encumbered funds, we haven't used any of those monies either. So we still have the litigation reserve for $914,227. And the Board of Directors election reserve, which is $527,886. Are there any questions?
Questions? Okay, we'll
good.
move on to the next.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you. The good news for all of us is that we did not need to use the encumbered funds for an election. I think that is something we ought to acknowledge, that we were very fortunate because we were prepared to do that. That would have cost us more money than we have in our encumbered funds, and it would have been substantially a pain for the organization. So because we didn't have to do that, we can maintain the encumbered funds, and if we have to do litigation, potential litigation in the future, we can use it for that. But just so that you know. Any questions on any of that? But I think it's important to note that for the minutes. All right.
Motion to approve financial report for December 23rd, January, and February.
Okay, is there a second? Any discussion, any questions? Anything at all on the financials that stick out? I looked through them, they look fine to me. If there's anything else that you guys have, then all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. So we need to renew our disaster recovery plan service.
I'm going to turn that over to Mr.
Let's
Stone.
talk to Mr. Recovery Plan Service Maker here.
Okay, we currently have a service with Assured Data Protection where they are basically our off-site disaster recovery for our data. So every day we're sending updates on our data to them. They have immutable backups, so once the data gets uploaded to them, it can't be changed. Some malware will go into your backups and try to change your backups so you can't recover if your system gets messed up. And we're currently in a contract with them. We have 60 terabytes of storage on their system, and it costs us $9,000 a month.
A month?
A month. And the current, and disaster recovery is required by the state of Texas and the comptroller's office. The current contract that we have with them expires in March of 2025. And under the current contract, we can do one disaster recovery test per year to test to make sure everything's working correctly for an additional charge of $10,000. Assured Data Protection came to us and said, we would like to extend your contract. And they're offering us the same price that we're paying now if we extend the contract until April of 2029. So it would be for the 1 year plus 4 more years. They're also offering us to be able to do 2 disaster recovery tests a year at $7,500
I was going to say, can we
$10,000.
negotiate that to be for free?
Plus, they're going to upgrade all of our hardware.
that's
We have specialized hardware with them, and they're going to upgrade the hardware for us at no cost to us. So we're basically paying the same price, getting new hardware, but extending the...
Getting 2 tests for $7,500 instead of $10,000. Is there any possibility of negotiating that those 2 tests be thrown in?
No, because you have to go to a different service tier that makes it more expensive for the...
And if the test proves that there's a breach,
Well, it's not to prove that it's a breach. It's a test to prove
that it's operating?
that you can access the backup, because it basically sets up a system, like if our data center blew up tomorrow, they would be up and running, and we would be, remote accessing their site, and we would still be functional with our CAMA and our payroll and everything else.
If we were to be ransomware or hacked, that information is saved on a totally separate, that's what this is, so that we can continue. That was one of the issues Dallas had, is they didn't have that backup. And they were out for months and months.
And cost.
And cost, yes. So this, with us being able to download this data into this disaster recovery system, ensures that we'd have some data we'd have to go back to, but it wouldn't be all of it. Majority of it, maybe just the day's work or the day before or something. And it is required that we have some form of this by not only the comptroller's office, our MAPS review, our methods and procedures. We don't have it, our policies, then it's a fail. It is required, but we need it. I want to make sure that we can get access to data. I mean, if it were to happen during the hearings, we wouldn't be able to certify.
The state requires. Shane?
Is there extra information we can get? Like
I think
what-
it's all there.
What comes with the
5.
disaster recovery?
Look
Is it-
under number 5.
Are the backups stored in a way you can turn them into virtual machines and bring those online? And if so, how long does it take? Is there, why do they charge for testing data? They should be,
Well,
because the data that we're
the-
taking from you is accurate and
They
reliable.
have different tiers of service that you have to pay a different cost per thing. And when we first signed up, we signed up for like one of the lowest levels of service because it was cheaper, because this is expensive, $9,000 a month is pretty expensive. So,
Is it just these 11 servers?
yeah. It's not everything we have, but it's most of the operational software that we're using, like the CAMA system, the GIS system, the payroll system. So we would be functional, not 100%, but probably like 90%, exactly like we were. And then we could bring the other stuff back online. Now,
Do you feel comfortable with this company?
oh yeah,
you think they're-
we've done the test to make sure that we can fail over to their stuff. We haven't had any problem. It took a while to get it set up, but I mean, they got it set up. Everything's functioning now. We can fail over and it works. So we're very pleased with.
You mentioned something,
On-site failover stuff as well as the cloud backup, or is it just cloud backup?
No, it's just we fail over to them through the cloud, basically. We can't afford to like duplicate the hardware.
Not when we're paying $108,000.
absolutely, that was my next question.
Saying that's a lot or little. I think it's a lot.
So, with that said, I asked if you feel comfortable.
Oh, yeah.
Rodolfo, go ahead and speak up. Yeah, go ahead and let him know. This is Rodolfo Arvizo. He's our IT manager.
It's not just the disaster recovery, it covers all the backups, all the local backups.
Okay, see, that's
the
different. That's
offsite
different.
backups.
Local backups, nightly backups.
You have to go to a microphone. Sorry.
Thanks. Rodolfo Arvizo, IT.
Introduce
manager.
yourself for the kid.
Rodolfo Arvizo, IT manager. So this solution provides local backups. It runs nightly backups, and then it synchronizes the backups to a recovery data
System.
center outside El Paso for recovery services. And as David mentioned, it has a way to what is called immutability, where not even administrators can access the backups for recovery purposes. So it does two purposes: local backups as well as data recovery services.
But there's companies like Acronis and Datto that do the same thing, and it seems like they offer more. Datto will even bring hardware that will.
Did we put this out to
If
bid?
servers fail over.
No,
and
they're under the
servers
The other-
fail,
DSI
it's on the
contract
cloud.
with the state. of
The other
Texas.
advantage is that if on an event of a disaster, they will offer their services. So this is backup and disaster recovery as a service. So
At a
we have a
cost, at a
team-
cost though, right, Rodolfo?
Correct. So we have a team backing us up or helping us up, bringing up in case, knock on wood, doesn't happen. But they will help us spin up the virtual machines, spin up basically the environment so that we can continue operations. So that's the advantage of having
There's
this
even
solution.
Macrium, and with Macrium, we would own all the hardware that you can have off-site somewhere, but you can do the same thing. And Macrium, it's a one-time investment that isn't that much.
Well, this is covering a data center on their site. We're basically renting equipment because we're duplicating our backup infrastructure that we have here. We're duplicating it over there. And not only that, but the servers to run the virtual machines, they also have a duplicated system as we have it here. So that's why.
I've never heard of a company that charges you $7,500 to test.
When is this contract over?
March of
March
25.
of 25.
So we have time, is where I'm going.
No.
Can we postpone it a
because
month is where I was going
If
with
we
this.
don't accept the offer,
Right.
we might not be able to get the free hardware.
No, what I'm saying, David, is can we table it for 1 month and take it up in May?
Well, I
We
mean,
already
we
did.
could, but the problem
Oh,
that
you
we
tabled
have
it.
is they're making this offer to us now, and they're offering us the free hardware as an incentive to extend the contract. The new hardware is more bandwidth, faster backup.
They're not
speed.
giving us the hardware, they're lending us the hardware.
No, they're giving us the hardware.
So that is part of the deal is that.
How much is the hardware?
I don't.
Because
know
I
what the
misunderstood. I understand that they're
No,
lending us the
Yeah,
hardware.
they're giving us the
The,
hardware.
the hardware is basically, we're getting it for free. It's going to improve the operational speed of what's going on. Everything will go faster. We're maintaining the same price in an environment where we have inflation and stuff is going up, 5-10% a year.
May have been too high to
So,
begin.
I mean, we haven't had any trouble. We've worked with these guys. It did take a long time to get it to function on the front end, and we had a different vendor that was doing the same thing before, and I don't know if they ever got it working correctly or just almost till the very end of the contract. So it's not as easy as it sounds to set up the environment to be able to have the virtual machines and for them to take your updates, your updated backups every night, because we're not just backing up the data, we're backing up the actual server configurations. So, I mean, if we backed up the data and we didn't back up the server configurations, we would have to, if something disaster happened, we'd have to get new hardware. We'd have to reconfigure the hardware to the way it was before. That would take a lot of time. What we're paying for here is for convenience. Like if we got ransomware, like Tarrant has got, or Dallas or whoever, there's several appraisal districts have already been hit with ransomware. We can just fail over to their system and it'll take like a day or something to.
I don't think any of us are saying that we shouldn't have it. I'm just saying, the thing that bothers, I defer to Shane, because I think he knows this stuff a lot better than I do, but the thing that bothers me is, I feel that they ought to give us, if they're charging us $108,000 a year, they ought to give us a test once a year to be sure that it's working. Because I don't want to find out when I need it that all of a sudden something's wrong and we didn't test it.
Okay,
And
we
I
actually
may
got
be
them.
wrong in even asking that.
We actually got them to do us a favor by letting us do that, because at the service level that we're paying for the backup, there is no free
Freebies.
test. So if you want the service level, we get free testing.
That jacks up the
They
price.
jack up the
Of course, they
price
cover the
of the thing. So
Is that
we
different
were
tier?
able to talk them into letting us test it if we paid them an additional $10,000 a year, and they didn't really want to do it, but they did it to get our business.
Did we test?
on-
Did we ever test it?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Oh, we did test.
we
Yes.
test. We
So we
test.
paid them the
We just
10,000, we tested.
tested
Chair?
February of this year.
Mr.
All
Chair?
right, go ahead, Sergio.
Yeah, the only question I have is, do we need the 2 tests per year?
It's optional.
Is it-
It's optional, like.
You don't
if we-
have
if
to
we
do it.
We don't have to have both
Yeah, we
tests.
don't have.
You don't have to do
take
any
the
test.
We don't have to do any of them.
Right, but we like to test at least once a year just to make sure everything's working, because you don't want to find out when you need it that, oh, something
Didn't work.
happened and now it doesn't work.
Right.
So we need at least one test a year, and obviously the more times you test, the better your
Confidence.
your peace of mind.
Huh.
But I mean, we can just do one test here. We don't have to do 2 tests.
We don't have to do any test.
Right, and the other question I have is, are we allowed to do it, extend it under their contract? We don't have to go out for bid? Is this covered under co-op or the state?
Yeah,
or
because it's
state?
under the DIR contract for the state.
For the state?
then
Okay.
we don't have to go out to bid.
So
on
we're in compliance with that?
it.
Yes.
Yes.
And
that
y'all are
was- that
recommending
was
it?
the same question.
Yes, we're
Yes, sir.
recommending.
I'm good.
Jackie?
But they want
That's
to
what I
2029.
was-
I'm sorry, Jack.
Go ahead, Jackie, go ahead.
You just answered my question, actually. We have the 2 tests there if we need it.
Yeah.
Right.
Doesn't mean we have to use
Right.
it. But you're both telling me you're really comfortable with this one,
Yes.
and you feel this is the best thing. I'm good with it.
Yeah.
Ed, did you have-
You have to ask them.
I'm gonna end up with you, Shane.
So,
like it or
so
not, you're gonna get-
2029, they want to extend the contract to 2029,
Yes,
4 more years?
yes.
5
But if
years?
you think about it,
Well,
we're
we've
getting
got
this.
one year left on the existing contract, and then basically they want to finish out the existing contract and then add 4 more years.
At the same price.
At the same
At the
price.
same
That's
city
what I,
cost adjustment.
that's
What do
what
you-
I'm thinking.
What do you think?
I
We like
I
it.
think it's a good deal. I mean, what is staying the same price anywhere? And so, I mean, we're locking in the price that we're already paying now. We worked with the company, we got the configuration working
Comfortable with
correctly. We
Getting
tested
2
it,
tests.
it works. We haven't had any problems with them. We're gonna get new hardware. The new hardware is going to speed up the process, and I don't see a downside.
But you did mention it was pricey, though. I remember you said that. It is,
Well,
it's
I mean,
expensive.
anything is pricey. Like if we had to recreate our data center and an offsite backup, we would have to buy a bunch of hardware, and it would just be sitting there unused, and that would be an exorbitant expense. And we tried to get in, the city and the county have a pod that they use for their offsite data recovery. They wouldn't let us go in with them. And so, I mean, because we're a small company, we don't have a lot of options that some of the bigger companies have to do things. And it's $9,000 a month, but what would you pay if you got hit with ransomware and you needed to come up?
Well, we're required to have this anyway.
Yeah,
The
well, I
same
mean, we're
price.
required to have off-site
Protection, right.
disaster recovery capability. It doesn't have to be this specific
With this
thing,
company.
but we think that this specific approach is the best fit for our organization and what we want to do to make sure that we don't get taken out by some malware or something, and then we can't function. I mean, Dallas was down for several months that they couldn't do
And it
anything.
still cost them a half.
They
Or
couldn't
more.
send emails. They couldn't. Their website was down. The appraisers couldn't access their CAMA system. So I mean, this isn't something that I feel comfortable saying. Oh, yeah, that happens, but it's never going to happen to us because they're targeting appraisal districts.
It just hit Tarrant again, a month ago.
Yeah.
They got up a new website for people to get on and protest and everything, and it hit them. So they're dealing with that. I would like to remind the board, Mr. Haggerty, you mentioned having a building off-site. For us to have any other building, we would have to go to all of the entities that pay into our budget and get approval to rent or to buy another building or another facility to be able to have an off-site locally. So this is going to be a lot easier and a lot cheaper by having someone that hosts it.
But other companies do this too, I think.
Sure.
There are other companies, there's companies that will give you hardware. The hardware we're getting, is it coming here?
Yeah.
And it's for the operation?
It's basically for the local backup and for the communications to the off-site.
That was my question, is there failover here that we have?
No.
There's just a server that takes all the backups?
Well, we back up data, so if we needed to recover data, we do have a local copy of the data, but we do not have any hardware locally that is not being used that we could fail over if something happened to the servers now. Because that's the reason we're using this service, because we feel that the expense, I mean, the problem that you have when you get duplicate hardware is it's just sitting there and not doing anything. That's how it should be, because you don't want whatever bad happened to your primary hardware, you don't want it to happen to the secondary hardware. So you got to kind of segregate it a little bit. So you can't really just use it for everyday tasks, because if you have to fail over, then you need it for the failover. So if I start depending on it for something else, then that's no longer available to be used for a failover. So either I buy additional hardware and then I start using it for something else, so it's not really available for what I need it for, or it's just sitting there idle and we can't do anything. And I think it's more cost effective to have cloud-based hardware like this is, that they can just spin us up and we can run off of that for however, hopefully it would be only for a couple months at most. And then when we're done, then once we get our data center set up and recovered, then we just go back to that, and then we don't have to have this duplicate hardware sitting off to the side.
What I'm saying is there's other companies, and I think it would be well worth it to at least look at them before one way or the other. There's companies that will send that duplicate hardware, not backing up all the data to one computer. If there's 11 servers, there's 11 backup servers. So if something happens to one of these servers, you spin that one up. If something happens to that, say there's an earthquake or something, then you spin up the virtual machine within minutes, hours at the most, not days. And you can get in there, you can access those virtual machines at any time and spin them up at any time without having to pay $7,500. There's more companies that I think should be considered.
Now we have redundancy that we do have, meaning so we have a set of servers. It's not a single server that is hosting all our virtual machines. So if one of those servers dies, the other virtual machines migrates to the other host, and we can have time to replace a particular server. On the other way that you're talking about, we will have to spend more money, I will think, on licensing, support, maintenance. So we're duplicating a lot of resources where we could achieve that via redundancy, right? Resilient services, basically. So, but that's just.
But if you already have it, why would you? Like, you don't have to get that extra hardware. It's a service that's provided along with, and that's just at one company. There's other companies where they're all cloud-based as well. But you can. This isn't something unique, but that price point just seems.
Jackie?
I respect what you're saying, but I also respect your opinions. I don't think this is bad. They're renewing at the same price. They're upgrading the hardware. You guys know you run this operation. You're comfortable with it. I think it'd be really hard to totally switch it, and it may not even work as good. So I would like to move that we go with it and we extend with assured data protection.
So there's a motion that we go ahead and extend this contract that we have that
Right.
terminates in 2025 until 2029 at the same price. with a reduction of $7,500 for testing. And I'm assuming they're gifting us the hardware, that it's not being met.
Right.
There was misunderstanding. All right, is there a second to that
I have one
motion?
more question.
Yeah. Well, first, is there a
Before
second?
a second
Wait,
before
is there a second to the
discussion.
motion?
I'll second.
All right, now,
I have one more question before I make a decision. What were we paying the other company prior to this one?
We've had this one since 21.
I think it was
Yeah, we've
like
had-
4,500, but we had, I think we only had 20 terabytes of data at the time.
This,
And
we've,
now we're up to 60 terabytes.
and we've been with this company since 2021.
any other questions?
Yeah. How's their reliability been, this company, since we took over, or since they took over?
Reliability.
We haven't had any problems.
Very good.
We don't lose communication. The backups are occurring every day. The backups are going over there. We're able to see that everything's functioning correctly. Whenever we do the test, everything spins up okay remotely. So we don't have any issues with that.
And you mentioned that previously, the previous company, we had a lot of issues with.
We
Yes.
had,
They couldn't get
we
it
had
working.
a lot, in fact, I think the previous company, we had, wasn't it almost a year before they got it functioning correctly?
Correct. It
It-
take a
it's-
long
It's
time.
not a trivial thing to set it up, because they have special software that allows the configuration to function on the cloud, just like it does at your data center. And it's not, because the whole thing is, we don't have to go out into the cloud and rebuild virtual machines to duplicate our existing setup. If there's an emergency, it's automatically already configured and already ready to go. And basically, all we have to do is tell everybody, okay, access these remote addresses instead of what the local addresses that people are addressing. So it minimizes the downtime when they're in case of an emergency.
The other question I have is, in the current contract, we have protections in case there's issues that they fail under the agreement?
Yeah, indemnity clauses, yes, sir.
We do?
Well, if people don't fulfill, I mean, the contract can be canceled if people are not fulfilling what they're supposed to.
For cause.
Right,
Yeah,
for cost,
I
yes.
just meant if we have those kind of protections in there in the contract as well.
SLAs, yeah, service level agreements, yeah,
Okay.
we do.
Any other questions? I have two questions. How often since the inception of this contract with this company have we done the testing?
Have we done
I
what?
think we do
Testing.
it
Every year.
we've done
Every
it
year.
Every year.
So we've been playing that
just passed-
$10,000 game
Yeah.
every year, which is now going to be a
But I mean,
$7,500.
if you look at the cost of the 10,000.
I got it.
Compared to the service
I got it,
level, it's cheaper to do the 10,000.
And every time we've tested, it's come out clear.
Yeah.
And secondly, my question to you, Don, is budget, this is in the budget. We put this in the budget.
Yes, sir.
And the testing is in the budget and the contract's in the budget.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
It's covered in the budget.
There's a motion to go ahead and allow for this extension from 2025 to 2029. Is there any other discussion?
I don't want to rock the boat or anything, but if that's what works for you guys, I'm not voting for it. There's no way I would agree to pay that amount, but I don't want you guys to use something you're not comfortable using. But there's better, and it's cheaper out there.
In essence, if we do the test, we're actually getting a reduction of $2,500 a year for the service,
Well, just on the test, but
And it's cheaper
Not-
to
not
pay.
really.
if we do the test.
He's saying.
we
it's-
have been doing the test yearly.
Right,
Right.
and it's cheaper to pay for the test than it
My
is
thought
to
is they should have thrown the tests in
service.
because they're doing them. And Shane's thinking maybe they could have even been cheaper. But nonetheless, there's
We
a
will-
motion.
We will continue to.
There is a
try to get some
motion.
stuff.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let it show one opposed. Motion carries. All right. Let's go on to the next item on our agenda. All right. So So you guys remember that we had to have an election? We've had a board resignation in the sense that, if you look on the bottom of the thing, we had our, one of our board members become now city council member, so he had to resign. And now we had an election, and one of the people, there were 3 slots. Of the 3 slots, one of the people did not qualify. She is a county employee. So we have a vacancy. So I do have a letter in front of me of resignation from Sylvia Cerna. She was elected, but she withdraws and resigns because she did not know that to be a board member of this non-paying board, she'd have to give up her job for the county, which is a paying position. And the reason for her disqualification is district attorney's office. So we need to accept her resignation. Is there a motion to accept the resignation?
Motion to accept resignation.
Seconded?
I
Any
think the county
discussion?
should have 3 representatives.
We will. Yeah, I agree with that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. She is resigned. We do have to replace her. So the hope is that we would have Ed Mena, has been a chair of this organization, and he represents an entity that will not have enough votes to be able to reappoint a position to this board. The person who is going to take this position doesn't start until our meeting I guess it'll be our meeting in August. Because we do not have a meeting in July, which is when they would normally have taken place. So I need to get a motion to allow Ed Mena, and he has agreed to accept that position, for Ed Mena to fill the vacancy now left by her resignation. Move to appoint. Is there a second? All in favor, say aye.
Do I need
Aye.
to abstain from this one?
You have to abstain.
Yes.
Yes.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And note the
I abstain.
abstention.
You just
of
have to
Ed.
accept it.
So Ed, congratulations, you are now an elected official, starting in August.
Thank you for your vote of confidence.
Not until August. All right. Taxpayer liaison report.
Okay, number one, Tracy wanted me to, you know how Tracy is. She wanted me to apologize. She is ill, and we know Tracy, if there was any way possible, she would be here. But she is doing better. She's under doctors. It's this cold bronchitis, sinusitis stuff that's going around and hitting so many people. But I have all of her stuff. So if it's with your approval, I'd like to read in what she was going to read into the record and tell you guys. I will provide a comprehensive summary of the recent TAD conference. This was something she was going to do last month, but we told her she couldn't because we just wanted to make sure we got that election thing taken care of. Particularly focusing on the sessions pertaining to the Board of Directors. Throughout the conference, I had the privilege of attending all of the sessions dedicated to the Board of Directors. Enclosed in the blue folder on your left-hand side will be a PowerPoint presentations for Board of Directors Part 1, while on the right side of the folder, you will find a Board of Directors Part 2. Additionally, behind that presentation, you'll find the presentation on hiring and retaining a chief appraiser, which I believe will provide guidance. The Board of Directors presentations predominantly addressed the legislative changes that transpired over the past year, with particularly emphasis on Senate Bill 2. Notably, this bill ushered in significant modifications concerning the Board of Directors, including the election of 3 new members and the appointment of the county tax assessor collector. It is imperative to note that the Board of Directors will now be responsible for appointing both the ARB members and the officers of the ARB. This will be for 2025. I, the TLO, will clerically, or Tracy, the TLO, will clerically assist the Board of Directors throughout the process. All ARB, or Appraisal Review Board appointments, require appointment by majority vote with at least 2 votes in favor cast by the elected board members. The Board of Directors is responsible for doing TLO evaluations every year and must include a review of the timeliness of the TLO's resolution of complaints. Furthermore, I urge you to carefully review all the presentations as they hold critical information for our organization. In recent developments concerning the ARB, we received the resignation of 2 ARB members and the reappointment of 2 ARB members. we have been able to maintain the 45 ARB members. When the local administrative judge appointed the board members for this year, for 2024, she also set aside so many members as fill-ins. So if anybody quit, these people had already been vested, interviewed and everything to go in. So that's what happened. We had 2 new ones that resigned, didn't want to do it, and then there was 2 more on the list. So they have come in. Tracy would like to highlight the recent training sessions of the Appraisal Review Board. On March 6th, the ARB underwent training with John Trable, MAI appraiser. Mr. Trable is who the State Comptroller's Office uses in their training of the Appraisal Review Board members. That's mandatory by state statutes. It was also followed by a session March 7th with Attorney Roy Armstrong, who is the ARB's attorney. Remember, they have to have a separate attorney, and Mr. Armstrong is an attorney for multiple ARBs in the state of Texas. Lastly, I would like to inform you that the ARB was in session March 18th through 21st to hear motions to correct. And the ARB, we have a panel beginning today, April 17th, to hear walk-ins, people that file a protest and they're willing to sign the waiver of a 15-day notice. Beginning May 2nd, which is just next week, we will have 3 to 4 panels. We're already scheduling hearings for May 2nd and then going forward. So that's Tracy's presentation, and then you have your blue folder with all of her presentations. So, thank you, board members.
So we have a committee of this board, of 3 members of our board who have volunteered to work to try to reorganize the ARB under this board. I don't remember who they are, do you?
I don't have the committee.
I don't have the list. We'll get you the list.
We passed them out
You had them
at the last board meeting, but we'll make sure everybody gets it
Probably the
again.
minutes that you just approved.
Yes, yes.
But anyway, so they will begin the process. I really like the idea of the ARB being arm's length from this board. That's over. So we have a direct influence, not just over the board, but also over their officers. And so we will have to accommodate that new regulation starting in this coming July. It'll be when we don't meet. We will have one more meeting. Please, if you can, mark on your calendar the last Thursday of May. We will have a meeting the last Thursday of May, and that will be our last meeting until August. And so we really need you to be there. We really need a quorum there. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate all of you making the adjustment to have the meeting today, Wednesday, instead of tomorrow when I'm out of town, so that I could be here. So please see if you guys can't all make it on that last Thursday of
We're
May.
moving it
Well,
to
it's the
30th.
third Thursday,
I thought it
I'm
was
sorry,
the
third.
It'll be
that's why I was questioning.
You're right, third Thursday,
May 16th.
my birthday.
May
May
16th?
16th,
Ah,
yes.
My birthday. We'll have a birthday
Hey, that's
party.
my sister's
Good.
birthday.
It is
The
my,
one that,
oh, your sister? So she and I are like gemelos.
Now, on that meeting also, on May 16th, we will agendize the cancellation of the June and the July board meetings so that we can convert this into panel rooms. We'll also agendize the approval of the budget, and we'll have public comment regarding the budget. That will be posted in the paper on May 5th. We have to give a 10-day posting. So in Sunday's paper, May 5th, Mr. Haggerty's already signed the approval for that to go as secretary to go into the newspaper. So just to follow up.
So again, this appraisal review board adjustment is going to be very onerous. It's going to be an adjustment for us as board members. We did not have to do that before. We now have to do that. And so I'm not sure. We'll have to see legally, because we're not meeting in July. We may have to approve some of the appraisal review process at the May meeting, subject to what goes on in July, because we won't be here in June or July. So
you can always
please
call an
be,
emergency board meeting.
I know,
Sure.
but you know what? The problem is these rooms are being used.
We divide these into 3.
That's what, we don't have the place. I have my office. We can meet at my office.
There you go.
But I think we're supposed to be here. So I just think we can get a lot of that done, Ed, at
Yeah.
the May meeting. So
I
don't
think-
miss the May meeting.
I think the main thing on the May meeting is we may put on the agenda to approve for us to advertise,
Right.
because we'll start advertising in August. So something like that, maybe to approve for the liaison officer to do certain functions in getting a hold of the committee or however y'all want to set up.
I
So
mean, the
we can
judge
do
no
that.
longer has a role, so it's totally now us. So we take on the role of the judge that's been doing this for all these years. So we may have to give some authority, tentative authority, to the 3 board members that will see this thing through the summer. But we will finally approve that, whatever happens, we will approve that in our August meeting. Is that okay, Joe?
That is just fine,
Okay,
yes.
just want to be sure you weren't
That will
sleeping.
work.
I did that on purpose, Joe.
I thought I heard
All
somebody
right.
snore.
Well, I was expecting it.
Any other questions of the taxpayer liaison who's not here, but Dinah, who's doing a
I
great
can
job
answer.
standing in for her? All right, do we need to approve her report?
No,
It's just information.
it's
report.
information for the board.
All right, a report of the chief appraiser.
Okay, so a couple of things I would like to go over with the board. First of all, if you haven't realized it, the notices are in the mail. We've had 2 mailings already, and a third one's coming up. So if your constituents call and ask you about it, please refer them to us. We'll be happy to answer their questions. There is for the commercial properties, commercial real estate that's under $5 million. There is that 20% cap on there. So if you see that and have any questions, I want to let you know that we received a report from the comptrollers. It's in their report. They gave a level of appraisal of top 10 and top bottom appraisal districts in the state of Texas. Overall level of appraisal, we're number 8. Our level, and no other metro is on there. Our level of appraisal under category A, which is a single family, we're number 2.
Wow.
The only other large one is Bear, they're number 10. And then in the level of appraisal on category F, which is your commercial, we are number 2.
Wow.
Dallas is number 7 and Williamson is number 10 and nobody else. So we are in the top 10 on all 3 of those. So I was very proud of our staff. There's 200
There you go. I just want you to say.
yeah.
There's 200 and some odd appraisal districts.
250. There's 256 counties and there's 255 appraisal districts because there's 2 counties that go together. So I'm very proud of us.
That is.
Yay, staff. And
Yay, staff.
our staff did that. So
All you guys.
Make sure you take that to our meeting you're going to be at next week.
oh, sure. I'll be happy to. Yeah.
Yes.
My school district folks, just to let y'all know, we did visit in March with all of the taxing entities. We gave them a rough estimate. We talked to them, the municipalities and the county, about the daycare exemption that they can pass. The county has passed 100% for the daycare. That was passed on the 25th. We also talked to the school districts, asking them, because there is a new law, and so I'm bringing it up to the board, the school districts must, by resolution, allow the appraisal district to represent them in the property value study that the comptroller's office does on the school district valuations, appraisal district valuations. We've always done it for them. Well, now there has to be a resolution by the school districts that allow us to do that. So we've asked the school districts, please put it on your agenda. So, Mr. Haggerty, if you see it, if you have any questions, we'll be happy to come and talk if it's on the agenda and you want us to come and explain it. We've asked them to get that done by August, because then I have to bring those to the board, our board of directors, to approve them approving us to be able to do the property value study. The property value study, as you all know, is the random sampling that the comptroller's office does of appraisal districts. They do stratifications and random samplings of all of the properties within a county, and then see if we meet the confidence level of appraisal, which is around 92. Well, for El Paso, it's 95 to 105%. So that's one thing. If we don't pass those, that's when the school districts could end up losing. If they put in grace and we don't pass it, they could lose funding. So we have asked the school districts to consider allowing us to continue doing it. We always have, but now instead of just getting the approval from the school superintendent and going about our business, we have to get approval by a resolution, and then you guys have to, by resolution, accept those.
Sled it.
And all of this has to be done because we start getting our clerical error list from the comptrollers in December. And then once that report comes to us the end of January, we only have like 40, 45 days to submit our protest. We would not be able to get those on the agendas for the schools. So I just wanted to let you know about that. We are starting our visiting with the neighborhood organizations and with Mr. Coronado, thank you so much. We'll be the next week with, and the following week with two of his mornings. I just had one yesterday. David Stone and I are going to be going to the city and the county with presentations. So, be sure if you're part of a neighborhood group or a business group that would like for us to come. I just did Northeast Business Alliance yesterday morning. We are available. The reason you don't see James Thompson and Rick Medina in here is they are giving a leadership class down in our classroom on the first floor that is set up by the city of El Paso to discuss all the different departments in the city. People sign up for this. It's a free class that they go to all the different departments. And when they go to the tax office, they actually come here and learn about the appraisal district. So they're doing that presentation tonight. I know you've seen myself and David in the media, so you'll be seeing more of us as notices are going out, and the media is asking us to be interviewed. And to assure you, per the statutes, we had to have given our preliminary budget, our draft budget, to all of the entities before March 15th, which we did. Everybody received it on the 14th. So that's it on mine.
So where values may go up, people's taxes may actually go down because of the exemption extension from $40,000 to $100,000, especially on homesteads. So people will see. I don't want them to panic when they see that their house has gone up. When they get their tax bill, they may actually see a reduction of their actual taxes. Any questions of our chief appraiser? Thank you for what you do. This law, I mean, I've studied it. I've read it a million times. I've discussed it with Longoria. This law is very convoluted. And unfortunately, within everybody that you see here is still part of this group until July. But the county loses its representation here, except that the county tax assessor will be the representative on the board, which bothers me because I really think it should be a citizen rather than an employee. But that's the way the law was written. Some school districts will lose their representation. EPISD will not. I think even with the amount of votes that they have, they will be able to get a representative. The city will have 2 votes based on as best I could read those rules the way I read them. And correct me if I'm wrong. But I think that somehow we need to get the other entities together in some capacity to nominate somebody else, because we're gonna need a representative from some combination of the other entities. I think EPISD, and from what I saw, EPISD and the city pretty much are solid, and we'll get a representative. I think now EPISD may have 2, but you may be the only one, Shane. So, oh, you're a Sleda?
He's a Sleda, yeah.
So somehow we need a representative from EPISD, and then you guys, you hopefully will represent those entities, which include you, Sleda. But I need you guys to get going. Your superintendents have been noticed.
We've talked to everyone. When we went to visit, as I said in my report about visiting all the entities, one of the things we discussed was the new way of appointing the board of directors, which will start now. The deadlines are, first thing, we're going to notify the entities. We told them this when we did our presentations. By the end of July, this is how many votes you get, and you need to make your nominations by resolution and get them to us by October 15th. Once we have those, then we will set up a ballot, and those will go back to the entities, and then they must appoint by resolution and get it back to us by a certain deadline. So we visited in the visits that we did with the school districts and with the cities, and we gave them a rough estimate of what we thought, their votes would be. And it's based on levy. Unfortunately, with school districts, the levy, because of the 100,000, possibly will go down from what it was before. So we're not sure. We'll be running all of those numbers and sending it to everybody. So again, based on the visits that we had, that I was talking about in the director's report, they're all aware of it. So if you guys have any issues or concerns, the county, because of the county tax assessor collector, they're not, we reread again the statute, the one that's currently in the tax code and the Senate Bill 2, and the county is not listed as one that is part of the process. Municipalities, schools, and the community college.
And the tax assessor is not ex officio. They are
They
a
can vote.
voting member.
They're a voting member.
Yes.
A voting member, but it's a tax
But he's an employee. He's a county employee.
I-
That doesn't make
Well,
any sense.
he's not,
written-
he's elected.
He is an elected
He's an
official.
elected official.
Okay. But he's
But
paid. But it's paid.
Yeah,
Yes, he is a paid elected official from the county.
yes,
Well, so is he.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it wasn't our call. We're living by a rule that was passed by the legislature, and we have to live with it. So
So
just,
it is
I'm just letting you
already
know.
verified by council that the county does not get to vote on an appointment of,
correct. When we visited with the county,
yeah.
As I was saying in my director's report.
This doesn't
when we-
happen till,
when we
I don't want you
visited with
leaving.
them, yeah.
So
Yeah,
this
no,
doesn't happen
You
till
are
late.
still on, let me clarify, all of y'all are still on till the end of December.
There you go.
You're all on till the end of December. The elected folks will start as of July 1st, so they'll be here for the August meeting. So we'll have all of you plus 2 more.
It'll be 9 of,
And
11 of us.
so we'll have you, but
Actually, one resigned. So.
next year, starting January 1, it'll be different. So you might be on if you're nominated by your entity and you have enough votes, that entity.
Well, his entity is
So-
the county.
So yeah, you'd be off.
Yeah, because that, the
It'd
county,
be
We'll
the
stay
tax
till
assessor.
December
the
31st.
county can't vote
Correct,
for the new
correct,
positions.
correct.
All right.
So, I
You
mean,
said there's 11 positions now?
well,
There are 9 plus 2, but we have 1 resignation because Acereto resigned. So we're down to 10. So we'll have 10 people at
yeah,
our August meeting.
well, and
Up
then,
to.
because we have the one that won't, yeah.
Up
So
to.
we'll have
But
up to 10.
stay 11.
But guess
So
what? That
quorum's
means
gonna be 6 then.
6, but we have 3 elected. So of the 3 elected, I'm hoping
And-
2 of them will show up.
Yeah,
anyway.
because 2 have to be here for the quorum.
2 have to vote for it. Well, just for the
For the
ARB.
ARB.
Just for the ARB.
Yeah, 2 of them have to be part of the quorum for the ARB. And I think we're getting off agenda, so we probably ought to, yeah.
Okay,
We
I'm
can-
just,
We can put this on.
appraiser's report. We're under the appraiser's report.
So we're done.
Yeah.
All right,
There's a
any
lot
other
of-
questions? Just, we're trying to clarify. Any other questions of the appraiser? Do we have to go into executive session? I don't believe we
No,
have
sir,
any.
we do not.
All right. Discussion and possible action regarding the previous listed item. What does that mean?
That means anything under executive, which we don't have.
We have
anything.
nothing.
Yeah.
So then
We
I
can
guess we
adjourn.
just remove, motion to adjourn. And again, thank you all for being here. Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All, it's unanimous. Thank you all
you.
for being here.
Thank you.
Take all this with you.
Hold on, don't go.
We have a
We have
re-
the budget.
We have a
We have the
budget
budget
workshop.
I knew we were
Shouldn't
forgetting
take very
something,
long.
right?
Time, 6.
The time is exactly 6. Took exactly an hour, but it was,
And who made the motion?